Greetings and welcome to In Depth. I'm Dike Rostant. This is the only time I'm going to intone the woman's government name, but Tova Linsandi is the driving force behind Fun with Aunty Tova, providing fun activities around many of our national days of observance since the pandemic. Now, Aunty Tova joins us now to speak to all that plus icons of Calypso, gone but not forgotten. Hello, Aunty Tova. Thanks for making the time. Give us a little history of Fun with Aunty Tova, please.
Hi, DK. Hi, everyone. Oh, it's such a pleasure to, be invited on to do this, to share the love and the just energy and fun that Fun with Aunty Tova, the Fun with Aunty Tova project brings. So Fun with Aunty Tova is really just for fun project that was really started in 2020, literally. It's self-claimed, but I think Fun with Aunty Tova was the very first online activity in the country, probably the world. Yes, I'm taking it. During the pandemic. So the pandemic was March of 2020. And of course, that was coming into the Easter vacation. And prior to 2020, I was a local government councillor and just a general community activist. So I would host events in my community, and Easter was one of our flagship events, the normal Easter bonnet parade. And there we were inside of the pandemic and nothing was happening. It's March, and I'm just like, how can I incorporate this thing from home and have people just as engaged? And I told my husband, I'm like, we're going to have the Easter bonnet online. And literally, that's how the Fun with Aunty Tova project started. It really started just to have that Fun with Aunty Tova, the Easter online Easter bonnet competition. And I remember I told my husband, I said, okay, create a Facebook page for me so that, we could have this out there. And he was like, you're just going on for Easter bonnet competition. Like, that was just a one-off. He's like, you want something that can last forever. And that's how, he came up with the name Fun with Aunty Tova. And that's how it started.
Now, in terms of that, and thank you for that, but that start and continuing, why maintain this presence? I mean, yes, hubby said that you want to have a name that could last, that can run the distance, but why maintain the presence after the worst of the pandemic?
Well, the thing is, remember, the pandemic went on for much longer than we anticipated. So it was not really an intention, as I said initially, that it would have gone on for very long. But part of all that Aunty Tova does is community engagement, particularly around children, women, and youth, the community in general. So the activities would have lasted, because it was happening prior to the pandemic and during the pandemic. So it continued because the pandemic went on much longer than we anticipated. So we started off with the Easter bonnet, and then it's like, okay, so we're still in a pandemic, and here was the August vacation. So my NGO at the time, which is the Keys Foundation, we had our first online camp. So it was the first one. Nobody was doing any VBS. Nobody was doing any vacation camp. And there we were, because we saw the success with the bonnet competition online, we incorporated that into the NGO, and we did our first vacation virtual camp. And then after the August, straight into September. So I was like, oh my God, we were missing our Emancipation Sports Day, because we usually have a massive Emancipation Week that was put on in the community of Five Rivers, see 500-600 persons coming out. And because we couldn't do it in that August, I was like, we have to have the sports online. I think I can do the sports online. And the first Sports and Family Day, Republic Sports and Family Day, over 250 people actively involved online for a sports day. Listen, DK was out of this world.
What kind of high people think you're telling me? So how do you say, okay, well, we're going to take this race and turn it online, or this competition? I try and imagine people doing lime and spoon or egg and spoon in the living room, and you have judges looking, no, you drop it, go back. How it is you doing that?
Listen, it was done. So, for instance, the lime and spoon was the lime. I got like these, well, at that time in 2020, were we allowed to connect? I think we were. Yes, we were allowed to connect. So I put together these packages. So they had the things that they needed. If it's a pack of biscuits for the eating race, so I gave them the specific type of biscuit. So they knew when this race was called, this is the biscuit. I gave them very specific instructions for the eating race. So for instance, they did not get the rules. So they were all inside like a WhatsApp chat. And they did not get the rules until the very minute of that particular competition. So I knew that they could not, try to 3 and 4 times to get your fastest time. So I will put in something like, you have to do a jig, a dance, in the middle of eating the biscuit, right? So I had to see in your video that was uploaded online, I had to see you open the biscuit. You had to shake it 3 times and then start eating. So you didn't get that instruction until the very minute of that particular competition. So for instance, we had to fill the bottle. So they had the same, instead of doing the egg and spoon, which we did, but that's a different story. I would do like a spoon and I gave them the particular spoon. So somebody using a pot spoon, between somebody using a smaller spoon, I gave them all they needed. And I would say, okay, you're filling this bottle with a spoon and a cup. And if you see them trying to fill this bottle and they had to send in the videos, and of course it was the fastest time would win. Dike, it was just like life. Seeing it, it took so much energy. You would not think that it was an online sport. I was beat at the end of the day because, you have 50 videos being submitted. You have to check the time. So we had somebody checking the times. It was crazy, but it was super fun.
Sounds like fun, but that moved back to things that were a little more physical in terms of being able to come out of it. What was that process like? And I asked the question because, yes, you said you were involved before, but Fun with Aunty Tova happened from March 2020. So coming back into the physical world and remaining Aunty Tova, what was that process like?
The fortunate thing for that is I already had a presence in the community prior to the pandemic, right? So I think the integration was seamless. But to me, and I always say, like I saw, and of course, condolences to all the persons who would have lost significant ones during the time, but it was such an opportunity because my community only grew. People who didn't know about this counselor, who was the counselor for Five Rivers, or this girl from the church in Five Rivers who will put on these sports, I'm telling you, this sports transcended boundaries, like internationally. So we had persons internationally submitting videos, participating in the sports, people from Point, people from Toko, you name it. So the transition for me was seamless in terms of, so I did a hybrid in 2021 where we had parts of the competition online and then just the finals of the competition in person. So it was more work, obviously, because you're now trying to engage this online audience of people from Point who may not want to take the journey to Five Rivers to do something, but still want to get involved. So that part of it just took more resources and energy. But I think it just expanded the work to places that I didn't imagine prior to the pandemic. It's like something that you think about, but yeah, it was really an opportunity.
Sound like things starting to get pressed down, shaken together, running over. I wouldn't ask if the
That's
people from Point was eating the same type of biscuit, but we continue the conversation when we come back. We're talking about Fun with Aunty Tova, and we haven't started to speak about the icons of Calypso yet. We do that when we return. Stay with us. Welcome back. We are speaking with Aunty Tova, and we're now going to really get into icons of Calypso competition, gone but not forgotten. Because just before we took the break, you spoke about it feels as though the community is becoming enlarged, is getting larger. But it seems as though you're also trying to make those links between generations. So talk to me a little bit about this project. Thank you.
Oh, certainly, Dike. Part of who I am, I love to celebrate ancestors and legacy. So I'm a real mommy's girl. And, I would sit at the feet of my grandmother or my great aunt, and I would just enjoy the old time stories. So I have always been someone who really appreciated icons and ancestors, right? Because I just think about how hard they have worked. And when I think about myself, so this part might seem a little bit selfish. So I wonder to myself, I say, imagine 50 years from now, like my great grandchildren who would never have known about the things or how hard I worked. And imagine they wouldn't know who was this girl called Tova, who has beaten her body in the community, like going all out to do all these things. So I always wonder, like, I'm saying it now and I actually feel emotional. Like, I wonder what my great, great, great grandmother was doing. Like, was she somebody? I'm sure she was somebody in the community, like, doing this thing. So for me, ensuring that all my events, and this is pre-pandemic, all my events always had that generational gap. So for instance, that Emancipation Week that I spoke about that we had with the sports, we will have the children's section. So we'll have like a children's storytelling where Uncle Errol will come and tell them some stories and whatnot. But there was always that point in that Emancipation Week where we celebrated the elders. So for Emancipation, we will just have an elders social evening. We bring out some cards, we get somebody in the community to sponsor some soup, you understand? And they just came and they just enjoyed being with each other. So as I said, bridging that generational gap, and not just bridging the gap, but really ensuring that the elders was kept involved in whatever was happening in the community was always very important to me. Particularly, just pointed out one stalwart in the community of Five Rivers, where I'm from, is Fui, right? So Mr. Lennox Fui Carter. Like, he's now deceased, so God rest his soul. But Fui was so helpful in absolutely any event that I did. Now, he had Parkinson's disease, but he was so like, Tova, you're having the football competition? Tova, you're having the thing? And I would watch him and I would imagine like what he was in his younger days carrying out. You'll hear people say he carried out flyers, he bring the boys down in the savannah, and I would watch him and I will do the thing with pride, like thinking about him, so much so that one of the football events that I hosted was called the Lennox Fui Carter Football League, because I'm just always interested in ensuring that there's that that elder inclusion, because so many times we forget that.
And you say that, and I'm smiling at my pause reason, because Jamie J. Philbert, she talks about sitting at the feet of elders to better stand on their shoulders. So with that in mind, though, I know that it's on the 25th of September, but give me some more information, please. Who is it for? Who's taking part? How it is people doing that? I know the Facebook page being employed, so give me all of that good stuff.
Listen. 100%. So actually, the Icons of Calypso, Gone But Not Forgotten, is a 2-day celebration of our icons. So it's not just on the 25th. As a matter of fact, so let me go back a bit. So it's a 2-day celebration on the 24th and the 25th. So the first day, we will be having our Icons of Calypso Sports and Family Day. So the reason why this was an inclusion on the Icons of Calypso Gone But Not Forgotten project, which was supposed to really stand on its own, but then because of the timing, I was like, oh, there's 2 days, like, let's do this, right? Because so many times we kind of associate Calypso with the older heads, right? And that's fine. But in this celebration of the icons, I really wanted to find a ways, how do we get the young people involved kind of forcefully to kind of recognize the importance that Calypso plays to our national landscape? And when I talk about that, I mean economically, socially, intellectually, you name it, politically even, because so many times the Calypso means so much. Like when you listen to a song, like it carries a story. If you listen to a song in a particular time, it carries a story of that time. And so I said, hey, we're going to do this, not only having the Icons of Calypso competition, but we're having the Icons of Calypso 2-day sports and cultural celebration, so that we're going to have the sports day on the first day. That will be a celebration of the icons where the young people is coming to a sports day, but primarily what will be played would be the vintage old-time Calypso. So you want to play a football, but you had to hear some Calypso, a song that you may have never heard before. The teams that are participating in the March Past, their team has to represent a Calypso icon. But what we did with that one, we did a hybrid of the persons that they are celebrating. So, of course, we celebrate the deceased Calypsonians, but they also have to incorporate a Calypsonian that is currently alive, because we have to give people their flowers when they're here, right? Celebrate them while they're still alive. So they have to pick two icons, a deceased icon and an icon that is still alive, and incorporate that into their theme as they, go about the sports day. So that the 24th, which is Republic Day, is really a celebration. Of course, September is Patriotism Month. So we are celebrating the icons over the 2 days. Sports and Family Day on the first day, where we're having a street parade. You'll have the nice plaque and banners showing all the Calypso icons, etc. And then on the Monday, the holiday, we're having our Icons of Calypso competition. So that one is happening on the second day.
So we have about 2.5 minutes, and I want to give you the opportunity to talk about judges, because I looked at the page and I see, but wait, no, this is a judge, this is a judge. So who are some of the judges, sponsors, other partners helping this work?
I definitely want to just highlight our partners and our sponsors first. So our title sponsor for this event is the Ministry of Tourism, Culture and the Arts. We really want to say thank you, because they have made a significant contribution to this competition. We also have none other. We can't have Calypso without having Tuco involved, all right? So they are supporting this competition, and they've helped us significantly in terms of the logistics and setting up, so much so that we have two persons. I believe they're both on the executive, Gary and Rhonda Donowa, who are judges in the competition. We have Tigress. Now, I know you said we have 2 minutes, but this started with the Singing Sandra competition first, and then we went on to Icons, right? So we extended it. But we have Tigress all the way from somewhere in the US. She is one of the online judges for the prelims. We have Stacy Sobers Abraham. Also, Dwayne O'Connor is one of our semi-final and final judges. And finally, who am I forgetting? Derek Casanova, cultural activist. He's also inside there. So we have a very qualified judging panel that is there with us. In terms of our partners, Gael the Caribbean, Cast Music TT, Clinical Media, we have Borneo West Police Youth Club, Borneo West Community Builders, the Counselor for Five Rivers, Counselor Desiree de Freitas Foster, and Siobhan and Friends. They're having their football competition. So those are our partners and sponsors, and we still need more sponsorship though. So corporate Trinidad and Tobago is welcome to jump on board.
And if anyone else wants to find out more information, go on Facebook. Aunty Tova is there, the page. Check out the page that has legs because of hubby. So we want to thank you very much, Aunty Tova. And on behalf of the entire TTT News team, this has been In Depth with me, Dike Rostant. Thank you so much for joining us.